Hi guys, so I've been asked a ton of questions lately around tiny house trailers, and this is something that keeps coming up in the social media space. So I thought I'd do a quick video and hopefully shed some light on it for you guys. I won't dig too much into this first fact sheet. There's two main fact sheets you want to have a look at and have a good detailed read through. The first one is fact sheet 13D. These are put out by the New Zealand Transport Agency and basically set out what you can and can't do on our roads. These also inform the certifiers around what is and what isn't warrantable. Now, a light simple trailer, if you read this first page here, it pretty much details it all for you. But a light simple trailer is a trailer that has its axles, whether that's 1, 2, or 3, closely arranged together in an axle set. So that means there's some trailers on the market that have axles front, middle, and rear. Those don't fit a light simple trailer regulation, so they're not a warrantable roadworthy trailer. So keep that in mind when purchasing your trailers. They can be 2.55 meters wide. Now we'll talk a little bit more about this width shortly, because that's sort of the contentious point at this time. The length of the trailer can be 12.5, and the height, obviously, once the tiny house is on there, is 4.3. But have a read of this page because there's other things about ground clearance and so on. That's useful information. The second fact sheet talks about over-dimensioned vehicles and loads. Now, I have spent significant amount of time on the phone to NZTA about this. I've talked to trailer certifiers and engineers, trailer builders, around what their take on these rules are. And my review combines that as well. So this is the consensus that we've sort of all come to on how to interpret these rules. Some may disagree with me, but this is my take on it based on the research I've done. So there are two main types of over-dimensioned vehicles and loads, and I'll skip to the second one first. So this here is a specialist dimension vehicle. Now these are things like cranes, where to perform their primary function they need to be bigger than the standard vehicle. You can see here the vehicle's primary purpose is to carry out a specialist function that requires over-dimension equipment. That is not a tiny house trailer. A tiny house does not need to be any bigger than a light simple trailer in order to perform as a light simple trailer for a house. So where the tiny house trailers do fit though is here, a standard sized motor vehicle carrying over-dimensioned loads. So you can have a tiny house trailer that fits the light simple regulations at 2.55 meters wide by 12.5 long by 4.3 high once the load is on it, and fit within these regulations. Now, that tiny house trailer can carry a load that's wider than the trailer. And that's how most people build their tiny house trailer, their tiny houses out to 3.1 meters. So the house is actually wider than the trailer, and the trailer just carries it as a load. That means that the tiny house actually needs to be able to be detached from that trailer, which actually also has advantages if you need to get the trailer repaired, or you're taking it for a warrant or whatever. You don't actually need to move the house with it. So there are advantages to having the house as a load. But for the purpose of this discussion, yes, you can make your tiny house 3.1 meters wide and put it on a trailer that's 2.55 meters wide. Now, based under these rules, there is no need for a trailer or no justification for a trailer that is 3.1 meters wide getting a warrant. A 3.1 meter trailer, from what I found, should not be a warrantable registerable trailer on our roads. The standard is quite clear here in this fact sheet I showed you before around what is a light simple trailer, And under these over-dimension regulations, there's only two groups. One being this here, a standard size vehicle with an over-dimension load, or a vehicle that provides a specialist function, of which a tiny house trailer does not. So for that reason, the tiny house trailer must be a standard sized motor vehicle, which is 2.55 meters wide. Now, again, there may be a few people that disagree with me with that, but from my chats with people, NZTA and the like, that is the way to interpret these rules. Now, further down this page, it talks about once you get out over the 2.55 meters, what you need to do when operating your over-dimension load. Now, I won't go through all these, you can read them yourself, but there's the general operating requirements here. Further down the page, it shows you what category your vehicle fits into. At 3.1 meters wide and 12.5 long, you fit into category 1. There's further operating requirements for a category 1 vehicle here that you need to take into consideration, which talks about hazard warning markers and so on. It's got mention of here pilot vehicles and stuff which are not necessary for a category 1 load. But basically, in recap, to tackle the biggest question that people tend to have around this stuff, tiny house trailers can and should only be 2.55 meters wide. The tiny house can either be fixed directly to the trailer if it's no bigger than 2.55 meters wide at its widest point. If it exceeds that, it needs to be a load and then complies under this with a standard size vehicle carrying over dimension load, and you need to take into consideration things in fact sheet 53A. Hopefully this has been helpful, and if you've got any questions, fire them up and I'll see if I can answer them.